Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy. I'm back. I'm giving you guys a review for One Piece chapter 687. And gotta say, man, I gotta say, I really, really enjoyed what Oda did in this chapter, man. I really enjoyed it, man. Like to have Zoro just show up in the way that he did and to finish off Monet, like it's absolutely nothing without even using Haki and to basically paralyze her with the fear of knowing that if Zoro would have gotten serious, she would have died. Man, when I tell you that is some gangster shit, that is some gangster shit, man. Like there's levels to this savagery, okay? And Tashigi didn't catch it at first. Didn't catch it at first. At first, I thought maybe, and hell, I'll be honest with you, I didn't catch it at first. I was thinking maybe, Zoro's gotten a little soft, kind of like how Tashigi was saying it. And you get the flashbacks from her perspective where she's saying to Zoro, like, hey, why won't you kill me? Is it because I'm a woman? And she even calls him out on it in present time. She says, well, you think women are inferior to you. You're never gonna finish a fight, but you're never gonna win the fight either. And what's really interesting is the fact that Monet wrongfully thinks Zoro won't attack a woman. So you get this really cool sequence where, you know, Tashigi is getting ready to go into battle, and Zoro's just like, hey, instead of you coming at me, you need to be focused on her. She's the one trying to fight you with the intention to kill. And so when that happens, Tashigi shows some pretty nice skill. Like the fact that she was using Haki was already something I found to be really interesting. I really like seeing that. But then taking it a step further, when all of that happens, you get this one scene where Tashigi is using some of the moves that we saw debuted in that Water 7, where I want to say it's the shave, where all of a sudden she just speeds up really, really quickly. That was really cool. That was really cool to see that. The other thing I thought was really cool is the fact that, as she's battling against Monet, you really get this feeling that Tashigi, even though she's fighting a Logia fruit, Tashigi isn't completely out the fight. And as somebody that loves strong female characters, I love it. I love it. Like Tashigi, yeah, Zoro could probably one shot her. Easy, right? Matter of fact, if Zoro just whipped it out, I mean, Tashigi would be just in a comatose state. So I mean, it's just to be expected. Zoro's just a total badass, and what I really love about that is like when Tashigi is getting bitten into, right, and she's enduring all of this pain, she's still thinking of a way to try and win the fight, and I think that's really cool. I think that shows a lot about her character. But that's when Zoro's just like, okay, I've had enough of this shit. I've had way too much time pass through watching this battle go on. Like, yeah, fuck this. Zoro throws out an attack and it just completely petrifies Monet, right? It's that moment right there that, like the meme says, it's in that moment she knew she fucked up. Because Zoro attacked her with the intention of maiming her. And you can just see it. She has this oh shit look on her face. And it kind of goes back to what the G5 Marines were saying when they're running with Sanji. And Sanji says, like, hey, yeah, excuse me. He's like, hey, that guy right there, yeah, he's gonna fight. He's gonna get the job done. Don't worry about it. But he is softer than you think, and you see both sides of it. You see him hesitating, but at the end of the day, Zoro is loyal to his crew to a fault. And so when that happens, he's like, yeah, okay, this is getting out of control. He steps in, and when Monet realizes that Zoro, just the brute force of the attack was enough to split her in half, right? But then when she realizes he didn't even use Haki, she can't even pull herself back together. That is like the ultimate psych out. Like I think the best way to kind of explain it would probably be if you look at like football, right? Like when the game's on the line, okay? You gotta make that fourth quarter stand, and it's all there. It's all there. And all of a sudden, you got to kick a field goal to win the game. And you're the opposing team. And you got to hold down this lead. You cannot let them pass you. So, what do coaches do in that instance? 45-yard field goal, 27-26. Field goal wins the game. Coaches call a timeout right as you kick it. It's called icing the kicker. Okay, well, Zoro just iced her. Zoro just iced her in this moment because it was in this moment she realized. oh shit, he's gonna kill me. What am I gonna do? And even Zoro patronizes her. He says, the moment you realize you were no match for me, you should have backed out of this. You shouldn't even continue the fight. You shouldn't even continue this because you knew how this was going to end. What happens from here on out, that's on you. And I'm paraphrasing for a little bit. I'm paraphrasing. But what was so insane about that? What was so insane is the fact that Tashigi's watching this and she's like, what the hell happened to the Straw Hat crew 2 years ago? And it's just like, you see that. And then you take into account everything that happened in Water 7 and not Water 7, everything that happened in Fishman Island with Shirahoshi and all that. When you see that, you know that like each of the Straw Hats, whoever they trained with, they came back different. They came back really different, and it's so telling. It's so telling because like on one hand, like Oda before the chapter, in the SBS corner, he gives out the measurements for Nami and for Nico Robin, and I throw the shade at Nico Robin, right? I throw a lot of shade at Nico Robin, but at the same time, Oda kind of just put me in my place a little bit, right? Because he gave the measurements out. And Nico Robin's just like a little bit thicker than Nami according to these measurements. She's like point 0.5 on the waist, and she's like a few up on the cup size and everything. So she edged her out a little bit. But what's the reason I bring that up is it was almost as if Oda was saying, like, yeah, their breasts and their body got a power up, but so did the Straw Hats get a power up. And you see it in this chapter. Like he pokes fun at it in the SBS before the chapter, and then when the chapter comes out, you just see it. Like Zoro, his training with Mihawk just put him on a completely different level. Like when you had the whole thing when Zoro was fighting underwater in Fishman Island, I was thinking like, oh shit, we're really gonna see Zoro kind of cut out and go all out. On this, like you're just seeing how scary he is. And in that moment when he cut Monet in half, right? And he didn't use Haki to do it. I'm gonna tell you what it reminded me of. It reminded me of when we first saw Mihawk when he showed up. For you guys who are like longtime viewers of the channel, you already know what I'm about to take this back to, right? When I first saw my One Piece journey, I made the mistake of calling Mihawk Mini Hawk, right? Like I got like a bad translation, so I called him Mini Hawk, and it's kind of disrespectful when you think about it. Mihawk is so fucking awesome, but Mihawk when he shows up, you find out that like Don Krieg's crew and everybody were chased off the Grand Line, and he continued to chase their ass. He's like, "Look, you guys aren't even worth being on the Grand Line." That's what that reminded me of, because it's just like Zoro. At this point, I really feel like if Zoro had to kill somebody, he would. And he's like, "Look, you're not even worth me killing." And so when Monet finally pulls herself back together, and she tries to get this guy from behind, right? Tashigi steps in and Tashigi finishes off, right? And you get this really cool moment where you can enjoyed this chapter. You get this really cool moment where Tashigi is patronizing Zoro. Zoro's just like, hey, says the lady who stepped into my fight. That was nice. That was nice right there. And then when Tashigi tries to throw it back at him and says, like, hey, that's easy to say what you would have done if I didn't step in. And then Zoro says, hey, well, good job, Captain Four Eyes. You did a really good job. You're going to get the credit for holding her off. And he basically pats her on the back. And then when she realizes he's talking shit about her, she says, like, don't you patronize me? What gives you the right to do that? And then Zoro just answers back with the whole one sentence and just shuts all this shit down, right? Zoro says, and I quote, Zoro says, I'm better than you. That is some cold shit, man. That is cold. That is cold blooded, man. Like I'm slowly becoming a Zoro fan. Like you guys know, like I just keep changing like my favorite characters out of this crew, man. This is so fucking savage, man. I love this chapter. If I had to rate it, I give this chapter like a 4.5 out of 5. This was a good chapter, man. So I want to know what you guys think, right? I want to know, how did you guys feel about the whole intimidation factor that Zoro was using? And do you personally think that he made the right decision? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end of the video, guys. Have an incredible day.